The drama surrounding George Foreman's unlikely return to the ring began with a moment so quietly delivered that many didn't grasp its significance until much later. When he walked into Sacramento, California, for his first fight back, few could resist staring at 267 pounds and visibly out of condition. He hardly resembled the menacing young titan who once bulldozed his way through the heavyweight division. Critics smirked. Fans raised eyebrows. Commentators wondered if the comeback was more dangerous than inspiring. Fighters simply do not vanish for 10 years and expect to reappear at anything close to the elite level they once knew. Yet Foreman insisted this was no vanity project. He said he came back to prove that age wasn't a barrier, that a dream didn't have an expiration date, and that no one, not even Father Time, could tell him what he was finished doing. That night, journeyman Steve Zassisi found himself facing a heavier, slower version of Foreman, but one who still punched like a man swinging steel. The bout wasn't pretty, and it wasn't quick, but in 4 rounds, the old champion broke Zassisi down and knocked him out. It was enough to make the boxing world pause. The laughter didn't vanish, but it quieted. Foreman wasn't polished, but he was powerful. And power like that never fully fades. What reignited the flames, however, was Foreman's confidence, fiery, unapologetic, and aimed squarely at Mike Tyson. Ring magazine printed a statement that sent reporters scrambling. George Foreman declaring that he could beat Tyson, that the younger champion feared him, and that those closest to Tyson had warned him never to face the big man with the heavy left jab. Whether it was psychological warfare, veteran wisdom, or simply Foreman refusing to shrink in the face of a younger superstar, the claim struck a chord. Tyson was the most dangerous fighter alive, a whirlwind of speed, aggression, and frightening precision. Yet here was Foreman, gray around the edges, moving slower than he once had, saying confidently that the young destroyer wanted nothing to do with him. Meanwhile, Foreman kept fighting. Perhaps even more shocking, he kept winning. His mobility wasn't the same. His balance sometimes wobbled after his enormous swings, and rapid combinations were no longer in his arsenal. But the power remained thick, thudding, fight-altering power. In 1989, he added another 5 wins to his streak of reality. When the bell rang for their scheduled 10-round bout, Williamson leapt immediately into the only strategy that made sense against a man built like a concrete wall: stick and move. In red, white, and blue trunks, he darted around the ring, flicking jabs, moving laterally, doing everything possible to make the older fighter shuffle his way across open space. And for brief flashes, Williamson looked sharp. He even landed a clean, booming right hand that snapped Foreman's head. Commentators noted that while Foreman had trimmed down to around 240 pounds, his strength and not his speed remained the real weapon. If Williamson could keep circling, keep jabbing, keep making the big man work, he might just turn the fight into a war of attrition. Only he could win. But Foreman had changed. The return of Big George wasn't a return to the young, wild puncher who once attacked like a man tearing through a forest. This version was calm, calculating, patient. Gone was the frantic urgency. Instead, he stalked, with a slow, relentless certainty, cutting the ring off inch by inch. When Williamson paused too long in front of him, Foreman hammered the body, thudding punches that echoed through the arena and visibly shook his opponent. In the second round, Foreman began touching Williamson more consistently. A heavy jab here, a booming right hand there. Nothing rushed, nothing wasted. Williamson tried to keep the rhythm going, landing a few stiff shots of his own, but each exchange came at a cost. Foreman's power didn't explode like Tyson's. It collapsed on you like falling timber. By the third round, it was clear Williamson felt every ounce of it. He started backing to the ropes more often, trying desperately to pivot out, but finding himself trapped just long enough to take damage.
Big right hand, and the action continues to be outside.
Well, J.B. Williamson fought March 17th, and you don't want to get hit with the Foreman elbow, definitely. J.B. needs to get off these ropes, get out of that.
George down low inside of the kidneys.
A lot of low blows there.
George, as he gets ropes, not a wise move by J.B. because George is not too worried about
tire.
Decent combination. He's got to move. He has no choice. Against the ropes again. And
in the fourth round, the punishment grew heavier. Foreman's pressure became suffocating. He cut the ring in half and drove Williamson to the corners, unleashing body shots and uppercuts that sapped his energy. Williamson's legs betrayed him as his guard slipped. A cut opened over his right eye. His movements slowed, and with each passing second, the proud Marine looked less like a man competing and more like a man trying to survive. Then came the fifth round, Foreman's territory, the place where experience, strength, and willpower merged into something unstoppable. He closed the distance and threw a devastating flurry of punches, each one landing with enough force to buckle Williamson's defenses. The smaller man absorbed the storm until his body finally sagged under the weight of the assault. At 1:40 of the round, the referee stepped in, waving off the contest before further damage could be done. Foreman had done it again. Another opponent. Another stoppage. Another reminder that age hadn't stolen his identity. With the victory, Foreman improved his record to 61-2, now 17-0 with 17 knockouts, since returning from retirement, but fate had different plans for the division. On February 10, 1990, in a moment that stunned the sport beyond comprehension, 42-1 underdog James Buster Douglas traveled to Tokyo and knocked out the seemingly invincible Mike Tyson. Suddenly, the heavyweight landscape fractured. Suddenly, everything fans expected was turned upside down. For months, the prospect of a matchup between Foreman and Tyson teased itself into conversations, debates, headlines. Both men stood at the center of a heavyweight era, full of chaos and transformation, but the fight never materialized. Even without the Tyson showdown, George Foreman's comeback remains one of boxing's most astonishing rebirths. He didn't just return, he conquered time itself. If you enjoyed this dramatic look back at Foreman's journey, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more cinematic storytelling like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode.
Fighting, all they do is run. That's a photo of what you're gonna look.
Boomer, and I'm gonna load a boom on that baby. Evander Holyfield.
JB might have had enough. The proud Marine looks like he's ready to go. Gets at 1-4, pounding away.
Yeah.
George Foreman.